for 62 years. I've done a lot of artwork in that time, and I'm still just trying to get it right.
Hello, Greg. How are you doing today, sir?
Good. Hi, Keith. How are you? I'm doing good.
I am doing well. So I see you got the Space Outlaw
Space
behind you.
Outlaw is here, underway.
It is looking fantastic. But before we get too
Yep.
far into that, I want to congratulate you, sir, on your NFT drop yesterday.
Thank you.
So the ship has sailed, and on makersplace.com/Greg Hildebrandt, anyone could see now and purchase NFTs of 3 of your kid stuff puppets, right?
Yes. The
Uh,
Spider to the Fly and Freckles and Bedtime Stories are the titles. 3 of my toy puppet, ventriloquist puppets that have aged and gained a lot of character over the years. Yeah. And I love painting their
yeah,
portraits.
yeah. I listened into the Discord conversation that you were having yesterday.
Yeah.
It was a good listen. It was cool to see some people that weren't necessarily familiar with you.
Hmm.
Watching, asking questions. It was kind of funny to me that a lot of the people chiming in had no idea that those were actually paintings that
Right.
that you had done. They thought they were photographs that you had
Yeah.
set up. So I found that rather amusing, but it was a good time, and everything is now on the blockchain, right?
Good. Yes, it is. It's a whole new world.
Yeah.
This whole, all of this stuff. New way of getting your work out into the world.
Yeah, to know a new generation of collectors and buyers who
Hmm.
um they just sorry, I'm kind of at a loss for words, but just the remarkableness of how technology just rapidly grows and expands and changes our vocabulary and
Yes.
changes everything. And what would have been inconceivable, 5 years ago, 10 years ago,
Yes.
is just, it's commonplace now.
Yeah.
All right. We got a few people already, watching in, saying hello. Elijah's saying hello. Dean 13. Hey, how you doing, Dean? Dean showing up saying hello. It's kind of curious how many people would get, with us switching the day up here. But yeah, we got some
Right
eyeballs on
all.
us, and people are gonna watch you paint. So how's it going, man? Tell us about this painting.
Well, I mean, it's like I look at to me, it's all about this. Like, while the subject, first of all, is intriguing to me because this is one of my toy collections that I have, which this old ray gun, which is called, the Space Outlaw gun, and very, like I said last week, it's a British toy company, the people that made the Matchbox cars, Ledney, I think. But it has a very
Okay.
Art Nouveau quality about it that always intrigued me. The design,
Yeah,
and
when you showed me the handle before, like with the rocket ships and the
yeah,
planets on the handle, like they put a
it,
lot of detail
it's a lot
into
of detail and
a
it's very enigmatic. You have this
yeah.
beautifully designed Art Nouveau British produced hand ray gun, cap gun called the Space Outlaw gun. There's a whole bunch of juxtapositions of things coming together in a very interesting way. And in any event, I collect this stuff from, I had these things as a kid, some of them, not these particular ones, but certain ones like it. And I've been collecting them now in my adult years, particularly the puppets that I've been painting, and also the ray guns. And we've decided, Gene and I, to kind of like just go back to that, in a way, back to my childhood, and bring it into the present and in the objects in their present form, the way they look now. And there's something about it. It's almost kind of like, for me, I guess not definable what turns me on about it, but it just grabs me to paint these objects. And now with the skeleton, I started this whole series with the first gun I painted was an atomic disintegrator, and it had, I had a skeleton holding it. Then I decided with this one, oh wow, I want to see the skull. I want to see the whole hand with this guy. And Gene has the skeleton. We own the skeleton, which we've had since 1980. Gene got it for me particularly to illustrate. I think it showed up in Mary Stewart's Merlin. I did a calendar based on her books, and we needed, and then I've done some posters using this. So I've been using him over the years, and a lot of people get turned off by it. They say, "Oh, skeletons are weird." Oh, this, they use them in horror movies, But that's us, man. That's what we look like underneath of the meat and veins, and that's us. So I mean, to me, which is considered ugly by many, to me is beautiful. It's.
You said something like that yesterday that that really struck a chord with me.
Yeah.
When you were talking about the Kid Stuff series in general, and looking back on the toys, reflecting on your childhood and the good times that you had in your childhood, and then what you said that really hit me, it was about the age of the puppets, right?
Yeah.
And how they're aged much like you are.
Yes.
But how they look now, they're very often, and I'm sorry, I'm butchering your quote.
No,
basically discarded by society.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or looked at as ugly by society, or something like that. You said it really just.
Yeah, I mean, I have a big thing about that. I think a lot of people have a big thing about that in this day and age. I don't know, in America and I guess globally, you're discarded at 60. Pretty much, you retired. My dad was forced out of his job at GM, forced an early retirement. Not that it killed him, because he loved building and making things and constructing. So, but so many people, the whole idea of ageism, it's like, here's one of my steamier things that gets me angry is this phrase, senior citizen. And people are perplexed by why would that make me angry. It's because I'm convinced it's a cover-up job, because you don't want to say old person, because old is not good. So we have to in some way cover that up. Oh, let me see. It's not an old person. Oh, it's a senior citizen. That elevates it somehow. Well, how come there's no junior citizens? How come you don't call kids junior citizen? How come old people get this title? It's like old is no good, right? I don't know. Is that my creating that, or
no?
So that's
no.
In other words,
I think you're right on.
So you throw old stuff away. It's junk. It's disposable. It gets, oh, look at that. It's all getting used. Well, used. It's beautiful when it gets used looking, to me.
Yeah.
It's like that's part of the conversation why I love painting these things.
Yeah.
I can relate to it. I'm 82. So yeah, when I had these guys, these puppets and dolls and toys and whatnot, when they were young, like I was young, they were clean and right out of the box and spick and span. And as time passes, they take on a patina. They take on used quality that adds to their beauty, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, they start to gather a character, a used quality about them that makes them special.
Absolutely. So the thing is, I'm going to paint, I don't know, we were talking about the possibility of adding an eyeball here,
Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Are you still going for it? Or are you not decided yet? Or where are you at?
I think, I don't know. Do you think I should try to, here's my reference, the all-seeing eye. Oh, the all-seeing eyes upon you. Oh,
is that the eye of Sauron? There, that's what he really looks like, and he's on the floor.
He's peeking in from the side.
The projector, like the Wizard of Oz.
Yes,
puts him up in between that tower.
Yes, he's looking down at us. Anyway, so I don't know. What do you think? What the hell? I don't know. I don't know. But in any event, he's got to be.
Dean says you're a distinguished gentleman.
A distinguished gentleman. That's better than senior citizen. Well, what's an elderly woman then? What the hell is wrong with saying that's old? People, do you ever notice how they won't say, "Oh, he's an old man"? They won't say that. You know what I'm saying? Like if politicians or who the hell ever speaks out in public, they won't say that.
Yeah. Also,
it's like
it's not 82 years old. You're 82 years young.
No, I'm 82 years old. God damn it. So I mean, the body is. I don't know about the mind, but the body is.
Yes. So I have to ask you a question.
Yep.
Before my follow-up question. Do you mind hearing other people's interpretations of your work?
Not at all. I enjoy that because they may tell me something I don't know about it. You know?
Good.
Absolutely.
Okay. I was having a discussion with someone about this piece.
This one?
Yep. And from the time before, but in the progress shots and the drawings.
Yeah.
And they really got intrigued by the aspect of the gun. Right?
Yeah.
And where you have pointed out that it's the toy, it's the Space Outlaw gun,
right.
Where it's manufactured, the company, the year of it, what its intent was. They were bringing up kind of the fact of, I don't know if it, just the world's relationship or America's relationship with the gun, and what.
Oh, that's a
and
long
they were
story
wondering
there.
what this painting is trying to say. Is it trying to? Their interpretation was, is this gun bringing death? Is this gun bringing joy? What is this? What's the relationship between this skeleton character and this gun?
Did they come up with an answer?
No, it was more of just an open-ended kind of
a question,
thought and interpretation.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. Personally, myself, I'm not sitting here and saying that I intend it to have a meaning at all, other than the idea hit me to do the first atomic disintegrator gun with a skeleton. With Gene's idea, it was Gene. What am I talking about? Let's go backwards here. Whoa. Gene said, you see how you stuff crosses over your mind. How about having the skeleton hold a gun? I said, oh, that's cool. So it was Gene's idea. So you have to ask Gene what the hell she means by it. To me, all it was, I like that. That looks cool. It looks like an old pulp cover from the 30s. If you go back and look at some of that stuff,
Yeah.
And I love that stuff.
To me, it does bring up an interesting question again, because when you throw art out there, much like music, people internalize it, interpret it.
Oh yeah, what does that mean?
As they see fit, and that one struck me as very interesting because for me, I grew up in West Virginia, and I grew up with toy guns.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, me too.
BB guns, guns, plastic guns, water guns,
all of it,
real guns.
Okay.
It's a part of the culture there.
Yeah.
It's nothing. It's nothing at all that is taboo or forbidden or anything like that. It's a way of life. People use them to shoot targets. People use them to put food on their table.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. But
yeah,
I realize it's not that way for everyone.
Right.
And
yeah.
So what do you think about that of somebody who could look at that painting that you intend just to be a cool looking, fun pulp image, but someone else could see, death.
That intrigues me. I'm happy to see that they can take something that I had no idea about and have that meaning in their own take applied to it. That's I've always kind of like believed in a way that me doing a painting was the first half of the picture. The second half of the picture is the viewer and their take on
Yeah.
it. So I love the idea that people can bring themselves to it and have their own ideas be part of this. In fact, the more enigmatic paintings that I painted intentionally, not so much intentionally, but coming from my subconscious, the dream images that I've done in the past, which I have a bunch,
Yes. Yep.
bunch of them over there that I still want to get to at some point. That those things are very much of the nature of bringing the viewer really into the painting to bring their own meaning to it. And certain, when you do a painting of Captain America bashing Hitler, well, that's Captain America bashing Hitler. I mean, well, again,
It is what it is. It's
it
right.
is what it is. But somebody can take that and make that. Oh, what are you saying with that now? What they could still take that subject and think like I did a Wonder Woman, and I had her pointing. It was just a poster I did. I wanted to do a painting of her, in her original form when she was first created in World War II, and I had her standing on a roof pointing at the viewer, and in the New York City behind her, and rising up behind her was a big Nazi helmet, dark behind her, and I had used the title on the bottom taken from World War II propaganda posters, "Wake Up, America." Well, I mean, I was intended that my original intent was to kind of like do a homage to World War II war posters, and people were they took it down, they took it off the internet, and people were sending letters. What are you making a statement about? Is this related to the present president? I don't want to say names right now.
Yeah. So they couldn't.
And well,
that's an interesting thing. People assign meaning based on current events to something that took place or was created, in the past. Like I read a comment one time that the book Lord of the Flies was all about toxic masculinity.
Oh, really?
Now, yeah. I don't necessarily agree with that view. However, I could see where someone could interpret it, and it was also I've seen where shoot, what was I going to say? Oh yeah, the Simon and Garfunkel song, "Sound of Silence."
Yeah.
Right. Mm-hmm. When they talk about the and the signs of the prophet are written on the subway wall.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Now the commenter on that was talking about it being a reflection of commercialism because of all the advertisements, right?
Okay.
But what I found is interesting because obviously she's very much younger and only knows, more modern New York, and didn't necessarily realize that from the time that was written, the only thing that was on subway walls was graffiti.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's one thing when you put out a piece of art, again, painting or a song or whatever that's there for time, people are going to look at it through the lens of the moment,
right?
Not necessarily the lens of the time frame at which it was created.
Right.
We've got some questions here. The first one I'm going to answer for LD Kender. No, it is not oil paint. Greg is painting with acrylics. He uses acrylics exclusively. And now Matthew Roma. Sorry, I saw your question and I wanted to get to it. So Mr. Hildebrandt, I admire your work very much. I missed your last stream, but I recall catching a bit on references. Do you have any preference or advice when using physical references, such as the toys?
Advice meaning what do you think that
like?
means?
What do you do? I think I can answer this question. And please, Matthew, if I'm wrong in what I say here, even though Greg is using a physical reference that's the toy, he still photographs it in the lighting scenario that he wants to use.
Yeah, like
Is that
here's a shot of the skeleton. You know, I set up my lights. I determine the light in a sketch ahead of time. What's my lighting going to be? And then I wanted a blue light and a warm light, a cool light and a warm light. That's the way that I'm lighting all these subjects. You know, I've chosen that particular two light source kind of like thing so far. Not to say that that might not morph into something else. For the puppet heads and for these guns, is a cool light, a blue light, and a warm light, like an oranger light, to give that color contrast. So I determine all that stuff. Then I get the object, in this case, the gun here I happen to have. I light that gun up in the way that I want it. I had Gene hold it for me. There's a warm light on the bottom and a blue light coming down from the top, whether that registers or not. And here it is more pronounced. You can see the blue light coming down from the top on the gun and the warmer light coming up from the bottom of the gun. So I light it the way I want to lit it. And then that's my use of reference material. Or in regards to reference that I don't have at hand, I have tons of reference books and material here, and books and pictures and all kinds of stuff. Or I go to the internet, which is one of the greatest inventions that God ever made. You know, that and air conditioning.
right?
And
Right.
you know, find anything you want. And I mean, like I've done cars, you know what I mean? I do retro type pinup stuff, and I wanted a '59 Chevy Impala from the back, you know, with the fins and everything, and I want it in blue. So Gene got it, you know, blue Impala back view, sunlight coming from the top, boom, 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 there it is. You know, it saved me from going to search out an Impala and shooting it and lighting it, which I've done, getting it, you know.
Well,
But it's like incredible. So referencing is these days. It's like, my God, if you can find anything in the universe. Anyway, just block that in. Does that look like anything?
yeah, I was actually, as we were talking, I was finding it remarkable that in that short period of time, you were able to make that look like an eyeball sitting in that socket, like in just a very quick.
It's very simple. You consider the shape. It's a ball. You consider the source of two sources of light. There's a blue light up here, you know, up over the camera, over your cam here, shining this way. There's a highlight on the head. There's a highlight on the ball. All the highlight on all these objects are coming from that angle, so you know where that light is coming from. And then there's a warm light from below. So you paint the eye, you mix your colors up, which are already mixed because it's basically these colors. It's almost monochromatic, the whole picture. Duochromatic, cool and you know, and warm. And you use those basically same colors, and you everything is about the light, the source of light, knowing where the light's coming from, you know? And then you know, you got to get your angle of your light. That's critical, you know? So let me see, the eye thinks it's, let me see. It looks all right. So what I mean, back here though, I don't know how this is gonna work. Wait a minute. Let me see. They got cadmium red deep. You know, you ever notice, Keith, they stopped making cadmium, right?
Yes.
Because of cancer.
Yep.
And the colors aren't as intense. But I don't know how red I want. It's cadmium deep.
It's that instantly gave a completely different feel to the painting.
Yeah, you want. Well, I'm thinking of this. I've got the red in this area here, which I'm working on. This will build up to a highlight shine, which will be cooler down here. Like I just block something in there, throw it. It goes from red into orange on the, you know, in that area, into yellow and white to get the final shine. You know, so you're going through a series of values, which I have all pre-mixed. Here's the warm colors, all pre-mixed. I don't know, get it on the right light here. From the, you see on the bottom, it's yellow, and it moves through, you know, like ochre and through raw burnt sienna and red oxide into burnt umber, and then burnt umber with purple in it. That's all this stuff. That's all the warm stuff. And then the blues are all mixed up here. Ultramarine blue. Again, I get the ultramarine, and it goes this way, ultramarine into phthalo blue. Phthalo is the yellow blue. Ultramarine is the red blue. And then that goes into the purple. which is a grayer down purple. It's not dioxazine purple, which I normally use. In these particular images, I've been using a mixture of dioxazine purple and Mars black to cut the purple a bit. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't,
Mhm.
you know, in more exaggerated scenarios, like either from Magic the Gathering or from Marvel Comics, I like to go to straight purple. It just gives it a whole other kind of thing, you know. This I want,
Yep.
when you see the live painting, I want it to have a more, for lack of a better term, realistic, like, quality.
Yep. Yep. And I mean,
And
with the eyeball gives the skeleton now an expression.
yeah, and it balances. I want the red here and I want the red here. You see? So those are the
Yep.
only two spots of red in the picture. It's a kind of a compositional thing. It just,
Yep.
that's
Yep.
composition, sort of like uniting the two things, sort of. I'm looking forward to painting Space Outlaw in that fancy red lettering. Like an outlaw would walk around with this kind of gun. Would you see any
Well,
self-respecting Space Outlaw with that beautifully designed Art Nouveau gun? It's possible, I guess, right?
well, yes.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Well, yeah. You got to
There
think
he is.
again. From you got to think again. Talking about like the relationship with guns and weapons,
Yeah,
particularly in pop culture. Like there there aren't too many people you could show them Han Solo from Star Wars' blaster,
yeah,
and the majority of people will know who that belongs to.
yeah, yeah,
Like, oh
yeah,
yeah, that's Han Solo, or
yeah,
taking it out of there, and a bullwhip, Indiana Jones with his bullwhip,
yeah.
or Rambo with his knife. Um, obviously those aren't guns, but
Right.
it's a tie-in. So I could absolutely see the Space Outlaw with that weapon.
Or it's one of the Untouchables with a submachine Thompson submachine gun.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
that to
yep,
me has always been one of my personal favorites. Growing up in the '40s as I did, and see the gangster
yep.
movies and all that stuff. The Thompson submachine gun with the drum clip. It has to be a drum clip that
Has to be
gives
a
it
drum
that
clip.
quality. Even though the
Well,
straight.
that's the Thompsons, right?
Yeah, but they used a straight clip too. They used them in the Second World War. The guys used.
A Thompson's machine
Yeah,
gun.
yeah, yeah. As people watching, they probably know. But the drum, different kinds of clips, and I love the drum clip. I've got one. Gene bought me one, but it wasn't real. It's a plastic one, but it's super realistic. And I've used that for a couple of paintings. But that to me, I never, I grew up in Michigan. My dad was not a hunter. He went hunting once with the boys. I remember he came home and he was gonna go out with the guys. He was not that kind of, just did not appeal to him. He didn't have any political or ideological disposition about it. It just did not, wasn't his thing. So I never grew up in that world that you say, because while
Yeah.
my parents they loved farming. We had 3 acres. They moved out of Detroit and we had 3 acres and they farmed it. And my mother was she lived on farms, so she knew that whole world. But there was no hang up about guns one way or the other. I never grew up with
Yeah.
that.
Yep.
To me, they were always movie things. Either Roy Rogers, the King of the Cowboys, Hopalong
Yep.
Cassidy, very cool looking in his white horse and all of his black and silver and everything, or Long John Silver, the great Treasure Island film done by Disney with Robert Newton as Long John with those flintlock pistols. And I used to make all those
Mhm.
things. And then Dragnet. Once Dragnet started on TV in the late 40s and 50s, I was totally hung up on Jack Webb's Joe Friday and the snub nosed police special revolvers, and I made tons of those. Tim and I always made those. We'd make them for Christmas for cousins as gifts. Wood out of wood and everything. Pay him, get the gunmetal blue and everything, and research it.
Uh,
Made a submachine gun, Thompson. We'd shoot 8mm movies of this stuff, emulating, Dragnet fist fights and gun battles and stuff. To me, guns were always objects of art or fantasy or film related, and never,
yeah.
you know what I mean? That's how I grew up.
Yeah.
Granted, I know it's not. I'm not living in the real world in that sense. It's this whole fantasy realm, because we know.
Yeah.
So I'm no anti-gun person. I'm anti-lunatic behind the gun person.
Yeah.
That's where the issue is for me. And that leads to these kinds of issues of present day. Not to get too controversial, but it's like the defund the police is a misfire. It should be refund the police. Where I mean, I've never had, look, I'm a white guy, and I grew up, so I've never had a problem with the police ever in my life. To me, they were always good guys. I've never, when I ever encountered them, they were always, to me, and I understand that that's not the case for many people. I'm not trying to, so
Mhm.
I understand things need to be reformed, and everything needs to be reformed as time goes by. Everything has to be restructured. I have to restructure myself as an artist,
Yes. Yeah.
and how I make a living in the world in my art and the kind of art I do. I have to upgrade all the time, shift and change
Yeah.
and learn new stuff, and or else and I think it's more like that. So I agree. Refunding is the issue. I don't know why
Yeah.
we got off into that, but that's a whole separate thing.
That's fine. No, for me to weigh in on that, again, I work a lot in advertising, and they it's all about branding, right? What's your message?
Yeah.
What's your message trying to get off? And I I feel like that particular message was not necessarily branded appropriately. I mean, it sounds funny putting a brand on a social justice
Well,
movement,
no, I mean, but
but
that's
but
what we're
that is
talking.
exactly what they do.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and I liked what you said there of like of refunding or the reallocation of resources
Yeah.
to to more appropriate things.
Well,
You
they're all
know,
talking that, right? I mean, to put the money into police should not be doing certain jobs, for God's sakes. I mean, an alarm goes
yeah,
off, and we got an alarm system in our house that goes off sometime in the middle of the night. The cats will set it off. You have 2 police cars show up. Hey, baby. Hey there. Your new doggy.
yes. I have
She-
springtime brought new babies to my house. I have a kitten and a puppy and like 10 baby chickens
That's
out there and 3
fantastic.
baby ducks. So,
Fantastic.
uh, but yes, with different people doing different jobs that right now the police are doing is I worked with people with disabilities for
Yes.
17 18 years,
Yes.
um, and I've heard, unfortunately, way too many stories of particularly people with autism that are having a difficult day for whatever reason, and the police have no idea what's going on with them, and they end up they end up shooting the person.
Oh
uh,
yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and where a mental health professional would have been the appropriate person to
Absolutely.
dispatch. And I don't want to sit here and claim that I know all the answers to anything, because I most certainly don't, other than policing is a very necessary job,
Oh my God.
but it's also a very, very difficult job,
Oh yeah.
and it's
Oh yeah.
not a job we can afford to have the proverbial bad apple in.
No, we can't. And talking about that, I remember that always stuck in my mind. There was a show talking about Dragnet, one of my favorite cop shows. That's probably my favorite cop show of all time. But there was he would take there were short half-hour formats, and they always take us taken from real cases. But I remember one was about a bad cop, a crooked cop. I remember that it was so powerful. I remember as a kid seeing Jack Webb's Joe Friday character, giving this guy a lecture on how you create the conversation out there. I'm paraphrasing. I forgot the exact dialogue. That we're all that way, you know. You one bad apple can make it. We're that always hit me very powerfully. So, and that's the thing. And I know that for a fact because I know many great cops all my life.
Yeah.
I've never. It's the good people. I mean, it's like in that whole thing about one person giving the rest of the bad is terrible.
One bad apple spoils the bunch.
Absolutely. There it goes for everybody else, and they're all that way. So everything's like that goddamn, what is the word today? Binary thinking. It's all got to be one way or the other. They're all bad guys or they're all good guys. Well, bullshit. It doesn't work that way. You know?
Yeah. It's un- it's an easier sales pitch if we could say it's all this way or all that way.
Yeah, it's
rather
good.
Than
it's good packaging.
then we have a whole lot of gray.
Right. It's all packaging, right? I won't allow anyone to label me conservative or liberal, because once you accept the label, say, right, you say, oh yeah, I'm a liberal. If somebody says that about themselves, that person over there says, oh, I've got his number, because that person over there has their idea what that word means, and so no labels. I will accept no label other than human being and artist. That's it.
And an old man. You told us.
Yeah, old man. I was talking because we got an old man Logan painting in an auction in California. I did an interview with a guy. I said, yeah, old man Hildebrandt painted old man Logan.
Sorry, I've been ignoring the comments here. I got to catch up and see what we got going on. Reorganization of the funds is not as easy as a roll of tongue. That is absolutely true, Dean.
What?
Okay, is Mr. Hildebrandt doing any conventions this year? He's always a pleasure to meet.
No.
Not this year.
Next year. It's a tough decision to make because, I mean, we really love them. And a lot of people want us to go, and we really want to go. But given the fact that Gene is high risk, heavy shit, had cancer, and I'm 82, not that I'm using it as an excuse, but, you got to watch out, you got to be careful. And so we're going to wait till next year.
That makes sense.
Somebody says something is not easy. Not easy. What was not easy?
Just the automatic reallocation of funds or the reorganization of funds.
Well, nothing worthwhile is easy. Remember that all-girl team, the all-baseball team with Tom Hanks. He said, easy, it would make hard. She goes, it's so hard. Well, hard is what makes it good. You remember that film?
I do.
It was a great film.
Yeah, A League of Her Own.
The League of Her Own. Right?
That was a good movie.
Nothing worthwhile.
Thank you, Dean.
Nothing worthwhile is easy.
Nothing worthwhile is easy. That's right.
It's tough. All right, so big deal. So it's tough for a plant to grow up and force its way out of the ground into the, so whatever.
So Alan says, love the shows, Greg and Keith. Thank you, Alan. Thank you. Yes, I agree with you. I do have beautiful pets. Dean, thank you very much. They're a lot of fun. That's right. Yes. Dean chimed back in. Nothing worth anything is easy.
That's right. There you go. You're right, Dean. I'm still painting. Let me see. That's cadmium red deep. See how dark that is there? Toby,
yeah, for me, it's not showing up so well on the screen. Now I'm watching on a smaller screen, so maybe other people are seeing the cad red, but
it's like, well, it's going to be a little bit purpley on the top.
Now, Greg, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Okay. This is just like the reflectiveness of an eyeball. So you have your uplight coming in, the warm light. Yep. Now, will that warm light bounce back into the eyeball?
Oh yeah,
from the top?
From here, all around here. Yeah. You got to get. I started it up here already. Yes. There will be that light will. Because it's wet, I got to get it wetter looking. It's going to get shines here and there,
Mm-hmm.
That's a thought thing. Where are the shines coming from? You got to look at it and analyze it. If you can't readily see it here, that's part of doing this kind of stuff. Is like you're inventing certain things and you're taking certain things literally. Most of the time when I'm doing an illustration, either say for Marvel or for I just did one now, and you just did one I think for Magic, right? You're inventing almost everything in that case, more or less, right? So you're pulling from others. Here in this case, I'm I am pretty much trying to stay true to the photograph that I took of the actual object. You know, even though you're making alterations and subtle little things, and you're not trying to copy the photograph exactly at all. You know, you're making fast moves and you're putting all the details and ticks and everything around in the general position where they are, but you're not trying to measure it to keep it exact. But I am still trying to
Mhm.
reflect the actual photograph. It's two different worlds. The other one about doing an illustration where you're constructing the whole thing from your either multiple pieces of reference and or your main image you have in your mind, I think is much more difficult. You know,
Yeah.
because
Yep.
there's a lot of stuff going on that you have to assemble. You know, and you're here, you're like one guy asked me once at a show I was painting, and he said, "Oh, I had photographs pinned up, and I'm pinning a car, I think it was." He said, "Oh, is that all you do is copy photographs?" Yeah, kind of. In this case, it's sort of true. You know what I mean? That's all I'm doing is copying the photograph. But you do have to get this stuff up there in the right order. That's the key.
Yeah.
You know, that
Yep.
pile of stuff has to get up here in a particular order, which is the fun part for me. I love what I love about these things is these transitions into these half zones of color. You know, where it goes from this. See, you're moving from the phthalo blue. I'm gonna get this is gonna get lighter up here. A highlight on it moves to the ultramarine, then it moves into the shadow color, which is one. So this is cooler. The yellow, moving towards a yellow blue light to a red blue light to this. This is actually a combination. This dark color here is a pile of paint that I mixed of dioxazine purple and and Mars black. Like mainly Mars black, some dioxazine purple in it. So it's purpley, but it cuts it. So it's great. But these areas of transition are the ones that intrigue me about all these pictures that I'm painting. I like those halfway zones where one color, the warm, merges into the shadow area of the cool. What color is that? And making those blends and transitions in the right place to show the shape of the object. You know, it's like
Okay.
I'm thinking. You're thinking kind of like sculpturally. You know what I mean? Feeling it as a
Yep.
three-dimensional thing.
Yes.
You know,
Yep. Yeah.
it's
You're
a
giving the
fun process. Yeah,
volumetric painting.
and I mean, aside from all, what does the painting mean? What all that, which is a whole other thing. The
Yep.
very fact of that process of that, I enjoy the hell out of that. That whole process
That
is
that particularly, like, when you're at your level or your work, if you don't nail that part of the process, you won't get to what does it mean,
right. Exactly.
because
This comes
you
before. Yeah.
you stop at
Yep.
like, oh
Yeah,
god,
that's a piece of shit.
this sucks, move on. So you have to be able to sell it
Yeah.
in
Right.
order to get people to
Right.
look long enough to
Right.
be like, what is this all about?
Right. Exactly.
What's behind this door.
That's very true,
Adrian
Keith.
Wagner, good to see you again. She is chiming in late and saying hello.
Howdy. But yeah, it's
Adrian
like
is a
you look.
frequent visitor.
What? You have to
I said
learn your
Adrian's a frequent visitor.
right. You have to learn your craft and stick with it until
Yes.
you get it, and then you know what I mean. You learn all the aspects of it, and then whatever comes out of that comes out of that. Then like you say, meaning. You choose subject. Then that's a matter of what are your subjects? What are you going to choose to draw or paint?
Yeah.
At that point becomes like, well, I'm going to do this or I'm going to do that, or I'm going to do this or I'm going to. For me, I personally, I'm like a shotgun approach. I like too many things all over the place to land on
Yeah.
any one thing. And sometimes
Yeah.
I lay back. We've had these conversations before. I think I grew up in a time frame because I in the early 70s, before I did the Lord of the Rings calendars with my brother, I wanted to get into a New York gallery because it was simply one of the things on my list that I wanted to achieve. And I was very close friends with an artist at that time. Bob D'Amelio was his name, who was 10 years older than me. He was a fantastic artist. And I met him in this two-family home that I moved into, and he was living on the downstairs floor. And he was an art director at an ad agency, and he came home and painted all night. And he was magnificent. And he introduced me really to Andrew Wyeth, and he was obsessed with that kind of detail. He worked in that cross-hatch mess of Wyeth, but he was, the whole thing with him was learning the trade. I know I'm segueing into a personal history type thing, but the guy was very significant in my life, and he introduced me to Andrew Wyeth, Edward Hopper, and Rene Magritte. He loved those three painters for their enigmatic quality, for their symbolistic qualities, for their realistic qualities, and he really influenced me to kind of like go into myself and paint what I saw, as opposed to taking only jobs and illustrating them for other people. So he's a critical guy in my whole career, my whole life, because that's when those dream paintings start to come out of that relationship with this man. And in any event, he introduced me to we start to talk New York Gallery, and I said, well, I don't know anything about that world. I mean, that was like a brand new world to me. People think that because you're in the commercial art realm, you knew the gallery realm. Two different worlds, right? Two completely different worlds.
Totally different.
And so he gave me a list of galleries in Manhattan to that I should go see, and they started with Sidney Janis, Leo Castelli, and Ivan Karp, OK Harris. These were the three top guys that were, if you look up their names, you'll see that they were repping all kinds of the big names. And so in the way that you did it, you took slides of your pictures and you sent them in. Well, all the galleries sent me in and said, no, thanks, we're not interested. Except OK Harris gallery. Karp was his name, Ivan Karp. He sent me a letter of kind of encouragement. He said, I'm not showing this kind of work right now, but keep at it. You'll find a place in the city. So I don't have that letter. I wish I had it, but I don't have it. And so I kept at it. And ironically, I ended up across the street from him. There was a little gallery across in Soho, downtown New York. Spectrum in its day. I don't think it's there anymore. The guy said, yeah, bring your stuff in. So I had a station wagon. I piled all these paintings into my station wagon and drove them into the city, which is a pain in the ass in itself to where to park and get your paintings all, because there were 4 foot by 4 foot masonite panels and everything. And I'm trying to figure, getting into this gallery, and he's looking at them. And then I was painting on masonite. This is canvas now because I switched.
Yep.
He's going around shaking. He said, what's this painted on? I said, masonite panels, gessoed masonite. It's kind of cheap, isn't it? He said, well, Andrew Wyeth paints on it. So it's good enough for him. I think it's good enough for me, right? And so, all right. Well, and then he's going to looking. And then, well, I had stuff all over. I had portraits. I had dream images. I painted a picture of a friend of mine on his Harley, and it's a dead-on shot of him and the headlight. The headlight took me a month just to paint the headlight. I was into my photorealist period. I mean, hyper photorealist period.
Hyper photorealist. Yep.
Because Bob D'Amelio,
I've seen that painting.
Yep. My mentor friend Bob, he's a guy that you walked into the room of his painting. He said, "Look at it." So you look at it from a distance. He said, "Get closer, look at it." Good. Get closer, look at it. When you got this close, he hand you a magnifying glass, and you have to come down and look at it like this. That's how and you could see the detail that he got into. It was freaking magnificent. And so I got into that. And so the guy's looking at all these paintings, and he says to me, you're too much all over the place. You've got to make a statement. And he goes to the one with the guy on the bike, and he says, I'll give you a show if you give me 20 of these. Not that exact picture, but that kind of thing. I said,
yeah.
20 of those? This is it took me a month just to paint. What are you talking about? I got 3 kids, and I got to make a living. It would take me 10 years to. He said, I'm telling you, you came to me. I didn't come to. I'm telling you, man.
Yeah.
So I thought that kind of thing was closed for me because I never could. First of all, I wasn't going to damn well paint 20 motorcycle pictures. I just was not going to do it. I didn't want to. That was it for me. The one was enough, back then.
Yeah.
But I don't know what the hell I segued here into off to. I'm interested in all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's what you're talking about. Just being interested in stuff
Yeah.
all over the place.
So I'm not against specialization for artists by all means. I mean, the ones who do it, fantastic work and all that. And that's not, you know what I mean? I think the conversation shifted though. I don't think necessarily that people look at things that way anymore.
Okay. Yeah. It's, I don't know, maybe it has shifted. But then again, maybe it hasn't.
The thing is, though, here's the thing. Can you got the idea is that if you stay with, and back then, I guess now too, if you stay with this one thing that shows you're committed, that shows commitment, that shows you can be a master at it. You know what I mean? If you're all over the place, well, you're a jack of all trades and master of none. I think that kind of thinking, and and that's always kind of in the back in my brain dump somewhere back there. It's that kind of thought is still there. Maybe if I would stick with one thing long enough, I get good at it. You know what I mean? Because I had this sense that, like the title of the talk, I'm still trying to get it right. I never really get it right. Maybe I'm not spending enough time in this one. I go through that internal conversation that I should be spending more time. If I would just say, the hell with everything else, all right, I'm just going to do this. Well, that doesn't sound good to me. I don't like that thought at all, to just to lock myself in a box. I'll be damned, I don't want somebody else to lock me in a box. I don't want to lock myself in a box, So, you got to be open.
It doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But there are people that do one thing
and
their whole life
extremely well and magnificently well.
Yeah.
And I love the work that they've done. Many artists, Yeah.
But I'm obviously, not as diverse as you, or nowhere near as prolific or any of that thing.
Well, I'm older than you. What the hell? So.
But I kind of feel the same way. It's like, okay, well, for me, it's always like, what kind of story am I trying to tell with this art?
Yeah.
Yeah. And that dictates, what I do. Who am I trying to, this might take more of a cartoony look.
Yep.
That I'm trying to present a story that I might be trying to get at something, relatively complex across, or something a little bit deep, but presenting it in a simplified cartoony style.
Right.
So that people can digest the intent more so than the image.
Yeah.
Does that
oh, totally. I totally get that. Yeah, 1000%. Yeah.
And then when I look at your puppets, if you were to do those puppets just as black and white line art, they're not going to have the same impact or intent.
No way. No way.
It's like, it would just be, oh, that's a drawing of a puppet.
Right.
Or, oh, that's a drawing of a skeleton with a gun. But when you paint them with such care and detail and, the exquisite, it elevates it in a way,
Yeah, it's a whole interesting conversation. And there's always that other conversation that, I think we talked about this before, that you have in your head. I think that conversation you always have, the voice that's always going all the time. And and it is, too. People are saying, oh, I don't have voices. Oh, the hell they don't. They just had it by thinking that thought, that they don't have voices in their head. And you do, right? You're always you're talking with yourself mentally of like, am I doing the right thing? Is this what I should be doing right now? And then you come back to the statement, don't should on yourself. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's like, yet that conversation never goes away. As much as intellectually you know you shouldn't should on yourself, you shouldn't should on yourself. It still is there. You know, am I doing the right thing? Should I be doing something more significant, socially redeeming, politically, spiritually elevating, all that stuff? Because that's inside me. All those thoughts are like that. That I don't, you know what I mean? There's nothing that I've done that I would want to be on my gravestone yet, because I haven't got there yet. Because that kind of ultimate work of that kind of transform, you want to transform the world with your art somehow. I think that's the hope that that you'll bring some sort of a not convert anybody, transform, elevate consciousness, bring people together. Hopefully that, and I think that that Gustav Mahler's the great composer's objective and thought was is that art's purpose is to do that, to alleviate pain and suffering and to elevate consciousness and thinking. And that's it was not the ancient Greeks concept too of the drama was to entertainment for sure. It's got to be entertainment well done that we talked about. The painting's got to be well done, but the ultimate objective is transformation. That a person doesn't leave the same way after they experience this piece of art, whatever that art is. Yeah, I mean, all that stuff's, and which means, am I doing the right damn thing right now? Or should I do something great? Then I talk to myself and I say, well, this is all just part of the conversation of the quest, of the trail, of the explorational trail and road that you're on. You're never going to get there. That you'll never achieve that magnum opus, great work that you're hoping that you will achieve. It's a carrot that you're just pursuing. I get that, and I'm okay with that. So I mean, that conversation goes.
It popped an analogy into my head. It's the Moses in the Promised Land. He's never able to attain it. He can look into it.
Right.
He can see it.
Yeah, there you go. Yes.
But he will never step foot in it.
Right.
And so it's that carrot that's in front of you that's driving you.
I had Tim and I, we were both working on a story before we left Detroit to come to work for Fulton Sheen to make the movies on World Hunger for him. Of this guy, it was on a quest. We were thinking of it as an animated film. He rises up. He's this guy with the sword, the shield, and all that kind of heroic stuff. And he's on this quest because there's a mountain in the distance. This huge mountain beyond the horizon. The clouds are all in front of it. That has pulled him all of his life. And now he's ready to get there, to that mountain. And he starts on his journey. And there's all these temptations to fall by the wayside and settle down. It's too hard. It's too tough. He gets up and battling all these foes on the way, but the mountain never gets any closer. He's getting older. He's going through all this stuff. The mountain is still just as far away, and he keeps up, and he keeps up, and he keeps up. It was a story that we were doing that we did pitch to Bishop Sheen, the guy that I worked for. He loved it. He flipped out over it because that's kind of like, I think, something that he could totally relate to. Is that that and it's kind of like a thought that of a story that is still there in my head. I've got tons of that kind of stuff that I've written and drawn down. Those kinds of things. And should I be working on that?
I'd love to see it if you ever do it.
Should I be working on that? You see, it's like I've got something over there in that stack. I've got a graphic novel that I've been working on with my son. Should there's well, no. Then you come back to no. This is it. This is what I'm doing now. This I put everything into. And I want to put everything into this. And I'm enjoying this. Anyway, it's just stuff that we all go through, I think, and talk about.
I get it. But yeah, I totally get it. Like,
As opposed to the thought of you just sit, oh, you artists, you go to your studio and you have a ball and you're all a bunch of perverts anyway. You drink and you take dope and you screw around and you have no morals or ethics or principles. That whole conversation about artists all these years. I
Yes.
don't
Yep.
necessarily that's maybe some are that way. I don't know. But I think we talked about this once before, didn't we? Or maybe last week.
Yeah. I mean, well, there's multiple components to that too, even of, like so many people with the false idea of like art and, oh, it must make you happy. It must bring you joy. And yeah, it most certainly does. But at the same time, anxiety and angst
Yeah. It's
and everything else.
it's a two-edged sword. You
Yeah.
know, it's what it is. It's there's the pain and the ecstasy of it. You know what I mean? It's two-sided. The agony and the ecstasy.
And this is kind of a side random topic on this, but kind of feels similar to me of, like getting what you ask for out of your art. Like, you're talking about like, should I be doing this or should I be making a statement to make an impact and all that stuff. And, I mentioned earlier, I worked with people with disabilities
Yes,
for
I know.
over like 17 years, maybe a little over 17 years.
Yeah,
in an art
Keith
program.
worked for Matheny, and in our program, Arts Access, he was the aid to people incapacitated, extreme,
Yep.
people.
Severe physical disabilities, we say.
Yes, and he would
right?
aid them in creating works of art.
And their art making process.
Yep.
And where I was going with that is, when I was younger and just starting out, I always said, well, I just want to make people happy with my art. That's all I want to do. I just want to make people happy. I want to make people smile. Right.
Well,
And so, I was like, okay.
That's a great objective.
And it didn't dawn on me until, recently, after I left there, it's like, oh, I got exactly what I asked for. It didn't come in the way that I pictured it or that I imagined it, of being, I do a piece of art and make someone smile or that they enjoy it.
Yeah.
It came in 17 years of assisting people who have limited to no use of their hands in making art. And when they saw what they envisioned, what they wanted appear, it made them happy.
That's right.
They didn't put two and two together to like a big gap of time difference. I'm like, oh. So I'm like, okay, now I need a new ask. What now do I want out of my art? Which is what you were talking about. It's like, like, do I want to change the world? Do I want to elevate the consciousness of people? What am I looking for to accomplish what I'm creating with my own hands?
Yeah. That's a great path. That's a great path to be on. It's a path of the human being, as Chief Dan George said.
Yeah. And how can you make an impact? How can you make the most impact? And for me, it became not about a global impact, but impacting one individual at one given time on any given day.
Yeah.
And you might be working with 4 people a day, 5 people, or,
Right.
And then that from there can grow.
Yep. Well,
I don't know how I got off on that side point, but
no, it's fantastic.
In my head.
That's fantastic. It's incredible. It's great. This whole conversation is great. It's good.
William Call says, Greg, he's getting to know you with these podcasts. He sees why his mom, who was Steffi Terry.
Oh yeah.
Maybe
liked
you so much. All my best. He will tune in as time allows. Peace.
Fantastic. No, she had a bookstore in here in Jersey, and old books, and I used to go there, and that's where I got most of my classic illustrated children's books from. She had a great sense of what was the good books to buy and collect, gather. Oh, N.C. Wyeth and
Okay.
Howard Pyle and Max Eleanor Abbott, who was one of the great. Most people see these. There were lots of women illustrated. Just look up Eleanor Abbott once. There are books on the Grimm fairy tales. Beautiful. It's beautiful. They're
Okay.
beautiful. I discovered all these new illustrators at her in her bookstore. Incredible.
Oh, wow. Well, you said, yeah, I guess it was in The Painted Pony in Chester
Yes.
was the name of
Yep.
it.
Fantastic book. She really had a innate sense of what was the right stuff to put into her store. Mind boggling, really. Incredible.
Very cool. I have, sorry, I'm going to jump back to your painting, the Space Outlaw here real quick.
That's what we're
'Cause I
supposed to
have
be
a,
talking about.
yep. I have a question. I have a question about it. It's been on my mind.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a, okay, I like how you're balancing the composition of, you got a lot of the detail in the face and in that gun. And I know that you're not finished with it, but you've got the big open expanse of the cranium back there.
Yeah.
Now, will you put all of the detail that goes on into that
Yeah.
cranium?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cracks and everything. Yeah. Yeah. I'm going to do that. This is not finished.
But
This may look finished because you're looking at it from a, you know, this is
yep,
not. I'm still. All of this is still being worked on. Here's the interesting thing though about paint. Like you're saying, this the idea kind of like is a painting should look good at every step of the way. Should there we go. There was that word should again. You know what I mean? But
yep,
or hopefully you're kind of having because I'm painting this, with these kinds of brushes. Bigger brushes.
yep.
You're making big moves with all this stuff, edges and everything, and then going in with a little, mainly flats. They're all flats, and you're going in and doing some
Okay.
more. So, but now I'll start to get down to rounds. You know what I mean? Which are the pointed, pointed brushes in certain things. I'll get, but you could stop the painting right now. Many people do. Many people have. Much art that I love and admire is taken to this degree. A lot of the pulp stuff from the 30s,
Yeah.
they're
Yep.
painted maybe to this level, broadly painted. So you really get the sense of painterliness. Well, I'm going to choose to go a little further than that with detail, but still maintain the sense of painterliness. That's the effort. The effort is to still maintain painterliness. And I remember that's an
Yeah.
effort and a struggle to do that properly. John Singer Sargent, the great portrait artist of the past,
Yes. Yep.
he
Okay. Yep.
you look at the way he did hair with those broad brushes. I mean, the design of his brush
Mhm.
strokes, and they look so. They look like it just effortlessly happened. He worked at that. He would put it in, not look at, let it dry, scrape it off, scrape the paint, try it again, struggling to get a proper loose quality, as
Yeah.
opposed to just being sloppy, but getting.
Yes.
It's a weird conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
You
Yep.
know what I'm saying? You want it to look
Yep.
spontaneous, and a lot of the times I don't achieve that. Most, in my own personal opinion. I kind of have a tendency sometimes to go, I should have left that alone 2 days ago, you know.
Yeah.
But it's about, I think you're dealing with security and insecurity. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Yep. Yes. Yeah.
It's more secure if it's tighter. You're not, you want to not that mixed with I want to go in there and work on more detail. I really like doing that, you know.
Yeah.
But
Getting into the noodling of
but
everything.
you go into Andrew Wyeth. I mean, God damn. I mean, just like Bob DeMeo, my friend, get the magnifying glass out, and you come and you see all the beauty of his work. Any little area, you could take a little area like that and blow it up, and it's a painting in itself. Of
Yeah.
all that stuff. it's an abstract. So many people ask him if he liked that. I remember if he liked abstract painting. He's one of my paintings are filled with it. Texture on a wall. You can just go to that wall and take a section of it and see the beauty of the textures and surfaces. Whatever. So there's a lot of fun in doing that. Just there's a lot of like this. I like the bones here. The way this is very broadly. You can almost leave that like that, and I will.
Yeah.
Certain areas, my plant, like with this, I'll tighten up more in the key areas, and let this get looser, as it moves away from the key area, central area. Tighter, looser, broader painted, tighter painted. You play with that kind of thing too,
Yeah, and that helps.
Yeah.
Bring everybody right into where you want it to be.
Right.
But yeah, there's that confidence in the broad stroke where people lay it down and it just instantly reads as what it's supposed to be.
Take a look at Andrew Loomis. His book Creative Illustration. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Some of his paintings, they're beautifully realistic, but stylistic, in that kind of broad painting that is so. It looks like he just carved it out.
Yeah. You and I we've talked about Joe Kubert, a few times. I quote him a few times on this. This. He's a guy who had ink strokes like that.
Oh my God. I know his sons, Adam and Andy, have talked to me, and they said he'd hardly draw any pencil on the page.
No, he didn't.
Indicate areas, and then you go in with the.
Draw it with the ink.
Holy crap. Overwhelming.
Yeah. Very loose, but powerful and instantly read.
Yeah. Beautiful. That is a talent. That is like a master,
Yep.
Intimidating.
But that's what he did, right? He's one of those guys like, I know that he used pastels like, in figure drawing classes and things like that.
Yeah.
That were stunning. But I don't know if did he ever dabble in paint? Like,
I don't think so. I remember him. I did a mural at the Montclair Art Museum. Mike Hewson, my friend, had worked out a show, the history of superhero comics in America, and all these guys were recognized. There was a documentary. Chip Cronkite, Walter Cronkite's son, did a documentary on it. It was great. And I was in the documentary. I didn't belong there. There were all these greats in the comic industry, Joe Simon and Joe and a bunch of other people, and Irwin Hasen. And Joe's watching the documentary. They showed the documentary at this one event, and he's watching me paint. I was painting because Chip came to my studio when I was painting the mural and watched me paint. And I remember Joe saying, "God, I wish I could lay color down like that." That's like boom in my ear. I still hear Joe saying that. It's like, there's something he can't do. Well, we all, whatever. I could never do what he did. It was, I don't, I don't know. He was amazing.
All right, man. It is 15 after 5 already.
Wow, that was short. Well, what strikes me, Keith, I don't know about you, but it seems to me that these trips between last week and this week, it's a whole week. It seems like it's 2 days. Time is getting weird. It seems like it's traveling faster. I don't know whether that's real or imagined.
Well, if I can't lay out the Einstein quote that you give, but that past, present, and future
right
are just figments.
Our stubbornly persistent illusion. The distinguishment of past, present, and future are a stubbornly persistent illusion. I can't say, I understand that and write a whole dissertation. I grasp it though. You know what I mean? You kind of like get that. And I've always felt that sense. Like I said, it's a tapestry to me. Time. There's no distinction of yesterday and today or 1,000 years ago. It's all woven together. Yep.
I feel that way until I hang out with my kids.
And then,
And I realized that certain aspects of time have left me by.
oh yeah, well that's
And, you know, with technology, and I mean, I'm into tech. I use tech,
mhm.
and but it just
Well, if you feel
it's
that way,
so
what the hell do you
fast.
think I feel like? I'm just like I'm still a caveman.
You're a good caveman. You you represent well.
Right. Are we still supposed to be talking about the book, that Marvel
We can
artwork?
talk about that book as long as you have that book in stock.
We have it in stock
So
still. It's a book
we
that
do have it in stock still. So yes, if you have not picked up your Marvel art of the brothers Hildebrandt, you could do that at spiderwebart.com. You can get it signed by Greg, or you can get a copy with a remark sketch
like this.
by Greg.
I do them. These are
Yep.
samples of the kind of things I've been doing. They're done with silver
Yep.
pens, you know.
On the black
Yeah.
page.
Mhm.
And so the remarks are your choice. So you draw whatever you're feeling like that day. Um, but yeah, it's a gorgeous book. Actually got my copy sitting right over there. Um, I pulled it out to look at a picture of MODOK in there. But in that book is the entire collection of the Marvel, the 1994 Marvel Masterpiece trading card set that you guys did. All those paintings, the graphic novel, X-Men Oasis,
Yeah.
all the like the Star Wars art that you guys did for Marvel Comics, all the stuff, all the covers that you're doing now,
Yep.
up to I think one of the more recent Thor comics that you
Yep.
did, like the cutoff time for
Yeah.
publication. So I mean, it's a chunky book. It has a nice weight to it, beautifully reproduced.
Yeah.
And it is a great retrospective of all your Marvel art. So any fan of yours or of the brothers Hildebrandt, it's definitely worthwhile picking up. I can't recommend it enough. All right. So get your
Yeah.
copy at spiderwebart.com, folks. And again, if you like what we're doing, hit the like button, subscribe button, share us around with your friends, tell us everybody about it. Go to makersplace.com/Greg Hildebrandt to see the NFTs that dropped yesterday. That was cool. And what else is there to say?
Tune in next week for.
Tune in next week. Yeah, next week we'll be back on Thursday. We switched it up because you got something going on tomorrow. So
We have a
tune
visitor
in next week, Thursday at our normal time. Again, thanks for everybody for chiming in, leaving your comments. We truly appreciate it. Any questions you have, feel free to ask at any time, and follow all of our social channels. All right. I think I got everything in.
That's
All
great.
right.
Sounds
Commission
like
lists are open. I almost forgot. Commission lists are open. If anybody wants a commission by Greg Hildebrandt or any of the other spiderweb artists, contact Jean, Jean, at spiderwebart.com with your request. She'll help you out with all your needs. All right. So with that,
Keith.
yep.
Adios, Keith. Adios,
Good night.
everybody.
Always a great chat with you, Greg.
Nice talking with you, man.
Yeah, I'll talk to you later, man. Have a good day tomorrow, okay?
You too. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.